Guys, welcome back to Just Talking, where I talk out you and you sometimes listen. Today we're discussing the future of the park Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is located in the northwest of England along the coastline, and based on my own opinion and some of the evidence I've collected, I will discuss what might be happening in the next few years and decades. And I have put quite a bit of effort into this video, so make sure to watch till the end if you do want to, and then leave me some feedback based on how you think the video looked. So let's get into what has already happened in the past decade. So in 2011, Nickelodeon Land opened, which replaced Beaver Creek, the previous family area, and here is some of the construction going on around the 2010-2011 period. Then Wallace and Gromit's Thrill-O-Matic opened in 2013 after a brand deal between Aardman and the park, and this is showcasing some of the updates to the facade during that construction, including the addition of the Wallace figure to the front of it. Icon opened in 2018, this was an investment of about £16 million, and here you can see some of the foundations being set up next to the Grand Prix ride, and this would be about where the station would be. The Wild Mouse went into standing but not operating in 2017 and was deconstructed in the following off-season years, and Trauma Towers closed in 2008 and was demolished at a similar time as Wild Mouse. Nothing is currently on those plots of lands. And they are similarly near to each other as well. And then Valhalla went into refurbishment at the end of the 2019 season. It was meant to be constructed during the 2020 season and reopen in 2021, but due to some of the lockdown restrictions and setbacks, it will now open hopefully in 2022. Journey to Hell Freak Night started in 2019. It was cancelled in 2020 due to some of the pandemic restrictions as well, and this will now reopen in 2021 in the October season. I did go into some detail about that in some of my previous videos, but if you want to check them out you can. And of course here is the exit into Passage del Terror, where they hosted a sort of drinks and pub event in a haunted environment. So there has been some rumours about Nickelodeon Land, the family area, because the IP might be coming to an end, and maybe the Nickelodeon Land area will eventually close due to a possible cancellation of the IP. I did a video discussing that if you want to find out some more things in detail, and might be replaced by the previously established area Beaver Creek, which is pictured here. And of course, the roller coaster, otherwise known as Nick Streak in the Nickelodeon Land area, will still remain as it did in Beaver Creek alongside Blue Flyer, but what rides might come back from the land and also stay from Nickelodeon Land is unannounced because it's simply rumours. And the evidence for this that's been gathered, I did discuss this in the video about this. Bradley and Bella Beaver, the mascots from Beaver Creek, have started to make a regular appearance, whether that's outside the park or roaming the park as well, and they're looking for merchandise in this area, and they previously haven't appeared on the Twitter page or any of Blackpool's sort of social media handles. Furthermore, Amanda Thompson, the current manager and owner of the parks, tweeted, "Bradley Beaver at Blackpool Pleasure Beach with Tuesday. We may bring him back someday soon. Watch this space." And I believe this picture down here is a picture of her with Bradley Beaver. So that might hint towards Nickelodeon Land leaving the park due to the IP being cancelled or them not wanting to reinstate it. They may still extend the IP so then they can get things sorted out to do with the new area. But that is some pretty solid evidence that they may bring back Bradley Beaver in some way. Hopefully it's not just some merchandise, because that maybe will be misleading, but a lot of fans are pretty excited about their childhood park returning at some point. The classic dark rides, in my opinion, aren't going to change too much. The Ghost Train recently has received a few licks of paint, and some of the theming from past Horror Nights and Vampire Beach nights. And I do think they will continue to do this in order to modernise the area, but I would very much like to see the facade to be updated, even if they don't, change very much, but maybe just give it a lick of paint and maybe maintenance some of the things there. The Slimer hasn't actually been working for a very long time. I don't think I've ever seen it operational, and I think maybe some of the smoky effects could maybe come back because they've been very good at repairing things like that. This is also similar to the river caves. I would very much like to see that the facade would be fixed back up into this state seen in the picture here, where it had the dinosaurs on top showcasing the prehistoric section, and also some of the sort of like Mayan tribes and some of the tribes in the jungle, which is seen in the ride as well. There were also some pirates out there, even though there wasn't really any involvement with pirates other than potentially some things in the Angkor Wat section. But I would very much like to see the facade be fixed back up, and they have been very good at adding back in some of the water effects and the mist effects in the dinosaur section, and also painting up some of the older figures and maintenance in the roof in the ride, which was previously falling down. With the Alice in Wonderland ride, they've also been very good at this. Most of the characters in the ride are blacklit, so they are sort of painted with a luminescent sort of paint, and they are relatively static, but some of them have limited movement, and it has a great charm and vibe to it. But I do think the outside maybe needs a little bit of maintenance and gardening. I did find that at some points, some of the figures on the outside, particularly the rabbit on the outside, needed a bit of paint because it was starting to white out, and some of the ivy on the front, which does look very nice when it's properly maintained, was starting to crawl on to Tweedledee and Tweedledum, which I'm not too sure why it was over there, but there was some sort of like ivy growing on there, and also in some of the card figures, they were also crawling onto them too. And I think it'd really look quite nice with a little touch up and some paint on the exterior, because it can get pretty heavily beaten with wind and rain, and there is some paints that can stop from that sort of wear. The coaster and ride removals or additions, I think that the opinion that steeplechase should be removed is pretty wrong. I actually like this ride. I think it's quite nice. It's good for kids, and the queues do still mount up, so based on the popularity that it receives on a daily basis, I think that would be a distraction from the park wanting to get rid of it, because I know it has pretty poor throughput, but with the popularity of it at most points in the day, I think that they'll actually probably keep it. And in my opinion, it will be Nickelodeon Land that gets gone, but as you can see here is a moon crater in the back. This used to house Space Invader, and I think they could maybe bring that back. I would like to see an indoor coaster return to the park. I know they do have the big pizza area underneath it now, and I do quite like how they've fixed up the moon crater, so they've covered this bit up a bit, because I do quite like how it's been kind of held back, and I do really like the new look of it. But I would say with the popularity of indoor coasters coming back, because they are so rare at the minute, there's hardly any UK parks that will ever have them other than maybe a few like amusement parks and fairgrounds. And I think that would really draw some guests in. I don't think they need to get rid of this at the minute. There isn't really many coasters I would like to see in the park, because I think the park has a certain image that it wants to maintain, and I think they wouldn't want to add a new like B&M coaster or anything like that. Or another launch coaster. I think they would definitely profit off of getting a new indoor coaster, because they are very good at sort of blacklit effects and things in the dark. They have a lot of dark rides, and I think they can definitely do something really great with an indoor coaster, and I'd like to see something similar to Space Invader coming back. For the empty lots, currently, the one where Trauma Towers was, it was previously located just where the stage is. That was used for the Oktoberfest sort of beer garden and stage, where you could see some sort of classic, I believe, Dutch and German entertainment, and you could get some like pretzels and different beers from this little pop-up bar, and I think they could use that as a more sort of temporary but also more permanent fixture for like a beer garden or some sort of entertainment, because I did quite like the way that they'd gravelled out the pavement, and I thought it looked really nice, and I think they could do a bit more with that. The Wild Mouse lot, as well as the lot that was used for Oktoberfest, was eventually then used for the Journey to Hell Freak Nights. Of course, Vampire Pleasure Beach, that doesn't really make use of anything for any horror mazes, because it doesn't have any. I did a video on these sorts of seasonal events if you want to check that out. And of course, Nick or Treat was in Nickelodeon Land, and they kind of use that for one of the mazes. I forget which one it was. It was something to do with some sort of zombie biohazard in that sort of area, and sort of a survival base, and I do think they could continue to use that, but easily they probably could make another dark ride. It would obviously be small, but they do have a pretty good knack for putting things into compact spaces, such as Icon, that winds through multiple rides. Also, the Alice in Wonderland ride has a very small, sort of footprint, in my opinion. It's not like, it's got quite a lot of things in it. It's got a relatively long run time, but it's in a relatively small area. Now, I think they could maybe manage a dark ride. I'm not too sure what, because they do have a pretty wide scope of things. They have 2 rides that are themed off of like a franchise, and then they have, like the Tunnel of Love, which and River Caves, which is based on different journeys around the world, and they have the Ghost Train, which is a sort of spooky attraction for families. And I'm not too sure what they could do, but they could also have a small children's coaster, because the lot isn't the biggest, and of course one of them did house a Wild Mouse, which was a family coaster, and I think they could maybe theme it up to have a specific theme, potentially linking to the River Cave, suggesting that the Wild Mouse lot is next door to that. And I think they maybe could add something like that, but maybe a larger coaster wouldn't fit and it'd look a bit weird. So I'm not too sure what they'd do with those lots, because they're pretty much perfectly placed with Trauma Towers and Wild Mouse, and anything really in that spot would look a bit weird because it is quite a small area. For the events, I would say stay the same. I really do like the way the events are structured at the minute. I really do like the sort of Vampire Beach, how that's just like theming and walk around characters. I think that should stay the same. I think they could maybe bring back Oktoberfest. I thought it was relatively good. I liked the food and the atmosphere, the music, and the entertainment that it brought. They could, of course, move the stage around if they did want to build anything on those lots. I do like how they have the Christmas grotto, which I did do some details in my video on seasonal events. And I think they could really do something with that more if they wanted to. The summer events with late night riding, I think they're really good, because, you can have, like a nice late night and go to restaurants and enjoy the sun, as well as, getting on some rides. And I do think that the events are relatively good at the minute. They have just started doing a Summer Games event, which is only just sort of started to end. It ends on the 31st of July, so of course it's a bit maybe late to start booking for that, but of course they are adding in some more summer entertainment. But I think the events are already here. I think they're structured really well and they're themed really well, and I don't think there's really much that they could change about them or add anymore, because the park has a very sort of small and compact area to sort of do events in, and a touring parade like Alton Towers does. I don't think that would be a great idea. They did the Mardi Gras event, and had certain squads based on the themed sectors. That was a really great idea, but the park isn't, separated as well enough to, have that sort of event. And I think that wouldn't suit based on how the park flows, and I think that they should keep it the same, because they've found a formula that's constantly popular and people come back to every single year. And I don't think they should try to push it anymore, because I think the events have that sort of charm and that character and atmosphere that makes them so good, and not like they're a marketing strategy. And yeah, that's really it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. I hope the sort of effects and editing in this video went very well for you and you enjoyed it. And I also hope you like the way I laid out the information as well. If you do like this sort of content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and of course you can comment any feedback, suggestions, or anything you really want. You can share your own opinion on what you'd like to see at the park. Of course, I will add some timestamps into this video so you can use them too. And yeah, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this information was relevant to you and what you were looking for. And if you want to check out some of my other videos, just click on my channel and take a scroll through. I really don't mind. So yeah, this is Just Talking. Bye bye.